All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gamer Seuss Twitch channel. And today we're going to be doing a simple base build for your first horde base in 7 Days to Die. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. Now, this base is going to be made with cobblestone blocks, but it is not required at the beginning to do the entire base that way. Really, you only have to do the main supports, the corners, and each of the support pillars. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to put down a series of blocks to start their approach to the horde base. This is the zombies approach, and what we're going to be doing here is building a sequence of step blocks just to make them have to actually slow down and jump one block up at a time. And we're going to go up actually a full 15 blocks high in order to make sure that if they fall, the zombies are falling far enough that they're not going to go into berserk mode. Because in berserk mode, they'll go after your support. So what we're doing here is just setting out the blocks and building them up to go along. And again, like I said, the entire structure does not have to necessarily be made with cobblestone. I know at the beginning it can take a while to generate a lot of cobblestone. You can actually design with wood and then upgrade. Just make sure that you upgrade at least the first 2 levels of everything with cobblestone, and also the parts, any parts that the zombies themselves actually touch. So like the pillars, at least 2 up. The support pillars that I did, as you see, I made an extra pillar there to keep up the base's stability. And the pillars, it's a good idea to do all the pillars in cobblestone, just because that's going to make it a more clean support straight up, although that's not really required. But this way, if they lose any blocks, it's harder for them to break out your supports. We're just going to continue to build the base upward, though, a little bit at a time until we can get a full 15 block height out of the base. As you can see, we're doing supports every couple of steps so that the base has more stability and is not going to fall down, because the more support you have, the harder it's going to be for the zombies to knock out the path, because if they lose the path, then they'll start to try to break through at the base of your actual base and try to collapse your base instead of trying to get to you, because they won't have a path. So we want to make sure that the path is stable and keeps going the whole time. Again, the majority of this base can actually be done in wooden blocks. Just for ease and expediency, we're just going to go ahead and do all the design with cobblestone here. Keeps the video shorter, and you get the basic concept and shape out of it. And just realize that everywhere that the zombies come in contact with, plus all the support areas, have to be cobblestone at least. And if you can upgrade them to cement as soon as you're able, and then eventually to steel. can see the entire stepping area does not necessarily need to be supported, just every uh, couple of steps in order to make the 15 high. Another way you can do this instead of going directly 15 high is you can go 6 or 7 high, and then you can dig into the spaces in between beneath the walkway of the zombies, uh, so that you've got additional depth so that they're falling at least 15 squares to keep them from going into berserk mode. But if you do dig, then you have to make sure you make a path back up in order for them to get a way out. Otherwise, they will attack underneath your foundations in the softer dirt areas and collapse your base that way. So you don't want them to do that. Now, uh, here I'm just being a little bit decorative and adding a little bit extra support to this support column by doing some wedge shapes, going up 4 and doing 2 sets of wedge narrow pieces. And you can find those in your block uh, by holding down R to select your blocks, and then typing in wedge narrow, and you'll get the 2 wedge narrow pieces. So we put the small ones up top, on 4 blocks up, as you see here. And I'm doing advanced rotation to get them where I want them. Do one on each of the 3 sides of this pillar, and then do the next size wedge narrow piece. But if you typed in wedge, you would get them. The next size up is the medium size wedge narrow. And then you just copy the rotation of the one above it is the easiest thing to do, just copy rotation. And around and do the same thing on this side. Then just put a couple of solid blocks underneath. And then repeat the process. You can just copy the shapes. And this adds just a little bit of extra stability, and it's deep enough of an angle that the zombies cannot climb up the pillars to attack higher up. Because on the normal wedge they could climb, but this steeper wedge they can't. So you're doing this as decorative, and you could fill in the corners if you wanted to too for aesthetics, but I just didn't bother to do that for this build. Just wanted to add a little bit of extra support and be a little decorative while we did it. And then we're going to use our nerd ladder. I think that's what most people call this, the nerd ladder, where you just jump up and do the temporary blocks just to get the height in order to be able to do some of the higher areas. I mean, if you are in creative mode, you could always turn it on fly and do it that way. But I'm assuming you don't have creative mode in most games, so you use the nerd ladder to climb, and I'll show you another way that I do that later in the build. Uh, an area where I need to do quite a bit of temporary climbing. So now we're going to go back down and then replace that with another column of cobblestone. Like I said, this as a support, you probably want this whole thing to be cobblestone blocks, but you could do some of the middle part could be wood if you did not have sufficient cobblestone. The cobblestone is easy enough to come by, though. You could always do wood and upgrade. It just takes a little bit longer, but you get some experience for upgrading. So that's something too. So we're going to go ahead and do a switchback now, because the idea here is you want the zombies to approach, but you don't want them to have line of sight to your fighting position all the way through their approach, because like acid spitting zombies later on and rock throwing zombies, any of the ranged zombies do this by line of sight. So by making them do turns, one of the things you're doing is you're limiting the line of sight. The other thing is zombies don't do the turns real well. So each of these turns on these narrow poles gives them more of a chance to fall and have to come back up again, which slows them down. So by doing these switchbacks, you're making it so that the zombies have to before they actually get to you, slowing down their approach. That's also the same reason why we used square blocks instead of steps in the approach. So they had to jump up each step instead of climbing them up as a ladder. Um, but we're going to go ahead and build another approach here. As you can see, I was one off when I built it, but that's okay. So all I did is add an additional turn. I went ahead and just stretch this out a little bit because I wanted it to be a little bit further away from the starting steps too, but going ahead and building it a pillar at a time. And after each pillar is built, you can run back along the path that the zombies will take in order to get back to the ground to do your next set of builds. Now here we're going to go ahead and get right on the edge here just so that we can put up the bar to get started right here. Right there. And for these, we're using the center, post center, and then we're advanced rotating it, sitting that way. Now we go back down and we're going to start building the actual base area where you start with the wide. A little bit hard to do it. Before the 5 blocks back from I want to be about pillar 4 to 5 blocks back from that pillar. The, the when the last couple pieces are really narrow, that would be both decorative and also kind of limit the overall profile of zombies that grow. Oh, so it's about bringing one to attack. Now we're gonna basically set up our fighting area. Get started. Wedge pieces to make it and yeah, go up too high with the original for the oh that's right. Helping the temporary order area for climbing. Yeah, video editor. So I you know, realize these are done with cobblestone. If you do them, if you start out with wood using this, you may temporary ramp that I've developed just to make it easier, not have to keep building a nerd ladder. As you can see, I built a couple of support areas so that you don't collapse in the middle. And again, each support should be cobblestone. And if you do the upgrade method, you want to upgrade from the ground up so that you're always supporting the most weight possible. Side. A couple of supports separated by about two empty spots so that we have plenty of support, making it hard for zombies to knock everything out. When we go up here and just go. I do apologize. It sounds like it's really hard to hear a lot of this. I'm hoping you can hear me better than you can hear the recording. Like I said, this is my first time doing an edited recording. Works are pretty much all done. And start getting rid of our ramp. We no longer need that. Build up from the bottom. Back to the ramp. You do this a little bit. Again, you only really have to use cobblestone for the first couple of layers, except for the actual corners that are the primary support. But the middle could actually keep wood except for the first two and when the ladder. Now you want to start your ladder up from the bottom, as most people will tell you. That way the zombies can't climb the ladder, but you can jump up the ladder yourself. And everything there. And if you get a couple points in parkour, you can actually go 3 up and still reach the ladder. Or you can create a jumping off a couple squares away to make it a little bit easier run and jump. Only about 9 minutes left in the overall video. I do apologize. Next time I do an edit, I'll have to be a little bit clearer and make sure I go through the entire video to make sure everything is copacetic with the sound, because it's really hard to hear some of this. That's why we want all of that to be cobbled. Be better able to actually see, and you won't have to worry about collapsing later on. And cobble and cement have the same weight and support. So by building it with cobble, maybe for upgrading later on. As you can see, this is how I did the inside of the combat area. Then I went ahead and put the scaffolding ladders positioned sideways inside, so that the it keeps you a little bit away, but you can still reach with a sledgehammer, a club, or a spear in the middle there. And then we went ahead and made it a wider combat area, so you have a little bit of area to move around, and you can get up to 3 people defending this base. And I do like to give myself a lot of headroom. We're going to go ahead and finish this here. It's just really hard for you guys to hear, and I do apologize. I'll have to go over this and then redo it. But thank you again for watching. Let's see. Take it and go ahead and finish this up. All right. And thank you again. We're playing 7 Days to Die. And this has been Game Time with GamerSeuss on the GamerSeuss Twitch channel. Call me Doc. Once again, all my videos are dedicated to Extra Life. So a portion of any funds that I do make go to Extra Life, part of the Children's Miracle Network. So by supporting me, you're supporting them. So keep that in mind. Like, follow, and in the immortal words of Stanley, Excelsior. Have a great time.